It was at that moment I decided to ask our neighbor if she wanted to check out the impressive tool my husband had at home. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm sharing a gripping story of infidelity that will captivate your attention and make you ponder. You know that unsettling feeling when you suspect your partner might be interested in someone else? That's exactly what I experienced. The scene I witnessed left me in shock. My husband, with an unusual look in his eyes, was watching our neighbor in a way that was impossible to ignore. I won't lie, at that moment, I felt a mix of jealousy and something else, something that piqued my curiosity. We never imagined that a simple friendship with our neighbor could turn into something so intense and unforgettable. Between glances, confessions, and a unique connection, what started as a casual evening soon became a profound experience of shared discoveries and pleasures. In an atmosphere of trust and honesty, we crossed boundaries we never thought we would, living through moments that brought us even closer as a couple. And that was just the beginning. Want to know how it all happened? Let yourself be drawn into this real story and see just how far trust can take us. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's the best way to support us and help us continue bringing you stories that ignite your imagination. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Victoria, I'm 29 years old, just like my husband, Benjamin. We've been together for 6 years, and despite being young, we've already built quite a lot. We have our own house, a car, and secure jobs at a tech company. We live in Raleigh, the capital of North Carolina, a place that, though it seems peaceful, is actually quite bustling and full of opportunities. It all started at the beginning of 2024, shortly after we moved to the new neighborhood. We bought a house in a planned residential area, where most of the buildings were almost identical, some even without fences or gates yet. Since we were one of the first to move in, the first thing we did was ensure the security around our home. It was around this time that our neighbor, Amelia, moved into the house next door with her daughter. Since the neighborhood was still being occupied, it didn't take long for us to become closer to Amelia, our neighbor. Like good neighbors, we even lent a hand in building the wall that separated our houses. Now I need to mention something about Amelia. She was a remarkable woman, in her mid-40s, with a presence that caught anyone's attention. A single mother and language teacher, her confidence and beauty were undeniable. She was dedicated to her daughter and her work, but her appearance couldn't go unnoticed. I'll admit, at times, even I admired her. Things seemed normal until I started noticing strange behavior. One day, when I arrived home, I found Benjamin in a situation that made me suspicious. He was in our bedroom, on the second floor, looking out of the window with a look I didn't recognize. The window in our bedroom had a clear view of Amelia's kitchen, which also had a large window. It wasn't hard to see what was going on there if you looked from our house. When I entered the room, he barely noticed my presence, so absorbed he was. Benjamin's behavior caught me off guard. He, who had always been relaxed and playful, suddenly seemed nervous. I asked him what he was doing, and he, visibly uncomfortable, replied quickly, "I was just checking if the wall needs any repairs." Without making eye contact, he kissed me on the forehead and hurried out of the room without saying anything else. That left me feeling intrigued. His evasive manner and rush to leave were unusual, which only heightened my curiosity. As soon as he left, I moved closer to the window, curious to understand what had caught his attention so intensely. And that's when I saw her. Amelia, washing dishes in the kitchen, wearing a gym top that accentuated her figure, especially her neckline. From our bedroom, I could see everything clearly. She seemed completely unaware that she was being watched, busy with plates and glasses, lost in her own routine. At that moment, everything made sense. It wasn't hard to see why Benjamin had been so captivated by the scene. Amelia was, without a doubt, a very beautiful and irresistibly attractive woman. That sight stirred something in me in an unexpected way. To be honest, I felt a mix of jealousy and something else. An almost involuntary curiosity. I already knew she was attractive. But seeing her like that, catching my husband's gaze, made one question pop into my head. Was he really interested in her? After spending quite some time watching Amelia through the window, unable to get the image out of my mind, I went downstairs to find Benjamin. I found him in the garage, focused on tinkering with the car. I approached him without saying anything and kissed him suddenly, in an intense way, feeling a sudden desire take over me. In a low voice, I whispered that he could do whatever he wanted with me at that moment. He looked at me, surprised, but not entirely. It was something I would often do. Our relationship had always had that kind of intensity. We had always been open with each other, to the point of sharing our most intimate fantasies. As the adrenaline surged through us there in the garage, I moved even closer to him, and with a playful hint in my voice murmured in his ear, "Do you want to be with our neighbor, darling? If you ask nicely, maybe I'll let you." We've barely started, and the most intense part is still to come. Keep watching, and don't forget to subscribe. As soon as I finished speaking, he stood still for a few moments, staring at me with an intense look. There was no need to say anything more, his expression had already given me the answer I was looking for. When we finished, Benjamin stayed silent for a while before asking if I was really serious about what I had suggested. I looked at him directly and said, "Yes, of course. Why not?" He still seemed surprised, and asked if I was truly okay with it, if it was something I wanted as well. I smiled and confirmed, admitting that I too found Amelia an irresistible woman. I even confessed that I'd imagined the three of us together more than once. The shock on his face was clear. He wanted to know why I had never mentioned it before. I let out a light laugh and replied, "Just like you never mentioned you were spying on her through the window." We laughed together, dissolving any remaining tension that might have been lingering. As we headed back inside, we began discussing how we could invite Amelia to something more intimate. We had no idea how to proceed with it, as this was new territory for us, but the desire was clear and undeniable. Over the years, we had fantasized about similar situations, whether it was with another couple or with a woman. In the early months of our relationship, I had confessed to Benjamin that I was attracted to women, but I had never acted on it. The curiosity and desire had always been there, but I'd never taken that next step. Now, it felt like that moment was closer than I had ever imagined. After much discussion, we decided the best way to start would be by inviting Amelia over for dinner, just the three of us. Since I was already more familiar with her, it was up to me to extend the invitation. Once we had finalized all the details, I didn't want to waste any time. I turned to Benjamin and told him I was going to set our plan in motion right then and there. The truth was that the situation was already boiling over, and there was no other way to calm it than to move forward. He still looked incredulous, not quite believing that I would actually go through with it. I gave him a confident smile and, without hesitation, told him to keep an eye out because I was going to make it happen. I slipped on my sandals and went straight to Amelia's house. When I got there, I clapped my hands and called her name. Within seconds, she appeared at the door, with that warm smile she always had, impeccably dressed, beautiful, and polite. We greeted each other with a friendly hug, and Amelia, with her usual charm, asked how she could help. In my mind, the answer was obvious. "We want you around tonight." Instead of saying it directly, I casually mentioned that we were preparing a special dinner that evening and had plenty of food. I suggested it would be lovely if she joined us. Amelia seemed surprised and hesitated, not wanting to be a bother. However, I lightly insisted, explaining it would be a relaxed and fun evening, and that her presence would be more than welcome. After a few moments, she finally accepted the invitation. We agreed on 8 o'clock for dinner. We parted with smiles, and I headed back home to find Benjamin peeking out of the window, eager to know how the conversation had gone. As soon as he saw me, he flashed a surprised smile and complimented me, saying I had been amazing. We laughed together and shared a knowing kiss, feeling our connection grow even stronger. Without wasting any time, we began preparing the house for dinner. As the time passed, I noticed that Benjamin was more restless than I was, checking the clock every few minutes. To help ease his anxiety, I moved closer and found a way to relax him, helping him feel calmer and more prepared for the evening ahead. As the clock neared 8 o'clock, I decided it was time to take a shower and get ready. While the water poured over me, my mind was in a whirlwind, imagining Amelia's touch, her kiss, her skin against mine. This time, there was a stronger desire that went beyond mere curiosity. I truly wanted to experience it. I stepped out of the shower and began to dress, paying attention to every detail. I chose new lingerie, red and sensual, and slipped into a light white dress that hugged my curves delicately, without being too obvious. To finish the look, I put on a pair of elegant heels that completed the simple yet intentional outfit. I wanted to be irresistible, and I knew I was. Benjamin, as usual, looked flawless. He had a natural way of grabbing attention like a true movie star. He wore light jeans that showed off his physique and a black shirt with a few buttons undone, highlighting his undeniable charm. He was impeccably scented, with a touch of elegance that only added to his natural allure. Together, we were a couple that wouldn't go unnoticed. Anyone who saw us that night would undoubtedly be drawn to our presence. We were prepared and excited for whatever that special night had in store for us. After taking care of the final touches for dinner, I carefully placed the baked fish on the table, arranging the plates, cutlery, and wine glasses meticulously. The atmosphere was perfect to welcome Amelia, and the anticipation of what the night might bring sent a shiver down my spine. As we finished the preparations, the doorbell rang, cutting through the air with a sound that brought with it a wave of excitement. Our eyes met, and with a playful, nervous smile, I teased, "This is it, love. Let's do this." Benjamin looked at me with a sparkle in his eyes, an eager smile showing he was ready for whatever was to come. I asked him to prepare our wine glasses while I went to greet Amelia at the door. My heart raced as I opened it, and there she was, Amelia, a little shy but still absolutely stunning. With soft makeup that enhanced her features and a black dress that hugged her curves perfectly, she was a captivating sight. The fabric of the dress outlined her thighs, accentuated her hips, and highlighted her waist in the most mesmerizing way. For a moment, I was completely taken by her presence. It was impossible to ignore how that dress showcased her curves in such an irresistible way. We greeted each other with a warm hug, and I kissed her gently on the cheek, inviting her inside. "Make yourself at home," I murmured with a subtle hint of mischief as I watched her step into our house. Amelia radiated a vibrant energy, and I felt we were about to embark on a night full of discoveries, where boundaries would be tested, and our deepest desires could finally be realized. As soon as she entered, she headed straight to the living room, where Benjamin was waiting, holding 2 glasses of wine. He greeted her warmly, wrapping her in a hug, and complimenting her elegance. "You look stunning, Amelia," he said, and I could instantly sense the connection between them. He handed the glass of wine to Amelia, then to me, before going to the kitchen to fetch his own. I settled on the sofa, and as soon as he returned and sat with us, the conversation flowed naturally. With a sly smile, I seized the moment to ask Amelia how she managed to keep herself in such impressive shape. She smiled, her eyes twinkling, explaining she'd been working out for years, always dedicated to the gym and following a balanced diet. "It's been ages since I've known what sugar tastes like," she joked, clearly proud of her discipline and self-control. I laughed at the situation and teased, saying I should follow her example to become as stunning as she was. To my surprise, she immediately interrupted me, sincerely stating I was already very beautiful and didn't need any of that. Her words left me a little flustered, but also fueled my curiosity even more about where the night might lead. The conversation continued light and fun, with the wine seemingly never stopping. It was becoming increasingly clear that Amelia was enjoying being there with us. If you're still here enjoying our story, leave a comment letting us know which city our story has reached. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, as it's a great way to show your support and let us know you're enjoying our dynamic. There was something liberating about the way she carried herself, and I soon realized that behind her confidence, there was a woman who bore a deep loneliness. Benjamin, always perceptive, took the opportunity to tease her a little, asking if she lived alone with her daughter. It was then that Amelia shared a part of her story that made me feel a wave of empathy. "I'm a widow," she said, with a look that was a mix of sadness and strength. She explained that her husband had passed away 8 years ago, a victim of a tumor, and since then, she had taken on the full responsibility of raising her daughter and managing the household. Curious about where the conversation was heading, and influenced by the intimate atmosphere we were creating, I asked if there was someone special in her life, perhaps a boyfriend or someone she was seeing. Amelia shook her head, a melancholic smile on her lips, and explained that, after losing her husband, her life had completely changed. "I had to double my efforts," work twice as hard to pay the bills and settle debts. There was no room for anything else, she said, with an honesty that only deepened my admiration for her. Now, with the new house, I'm finally starting to feel a bit more at peace, she added, and I saw a faint glimmer of hope and tranquility in her eyes. The conversation grew deeper, and the connection between the three of us seemed to strengthen with each sip of wine. Between laughter and confessions, a sense of complicity began to fill the room, suggesting this was becoming more than just a simple friendship. Benjamin, ever playful, seized the moment to tease Amelia a little more, asking if she really avoided everyone like that. He remarked it was hard to believe a woman so beautiful and full of personality could be alone purely by choice. Amelia let out a light, infectious laugh before responding, "I'm constantly being flirted with, but I prefer to stay on my own. For me, a true connection is essential for getting involved, and lately, everything just feels so shallow." I agreed with her, admiring her honesty. "That's why I've decided to focus on myself for now. Maybe one day, I'll look for that again," she added, with a determined glint in her eyes. However, in a moment of vulnerability, Amelia confessed that sometimes she felt the need to have someone close, but ended up finding ways to satisfy herself. We all laughed at this revelation, and I couldn't resist commenting. These days, it's easy for us women to take care of that, with so many toy options around. The conversation took on a more intimate tone, and the laughter flowed between us, making the atmosphere increasingly light and relaxed. Amelia seemed to be getting more comfortable, and I noticed that little by little we were breaking down barriers, sharing not just stories but also a mutual understanding of desires and the search for something deeper. After much chatting and a few laughs about curious situations, we decided it was time for dinner. A little tipsy from the wine, we sat down at the table and began to eat with hearty appetites. The food was amazing, and Amelia kept complimenting me, joking that she'd love to have dinner with us every day. I couldn't let Amelia's comments slide and jokingly replied that she could come for dinner every day, but she'd have to offer us something special in return. She seemed a bit surprised, casting a playful glance at my husband before bursting into a joyful laugh. Playing along with the relaxed atmosphere, she said that wouldn't be a problem at all, and I gave her a light hug, making fun of the situation. The mood was light and carefree, and as the conversation flowed, the laughter became even more frequent. We ate until we couldn't manage another bite, the wine and food only adding to our happiness. After clearing the table, we moved our evening to the garden. I turned on the orange lights, creating a cozy ambience. The garden, with its large wooden table and several chairs, felt warm and inviting, perfect for our private celebration. We sat down with our wine glasses, and the conversation became more intimate, full of a growing sense of camaraderie. The wine helped us relax, and we delved into more personal topics. Amelia seemed much more at ease, speaking openly and showing genuine interest in us. We shared the story of how we met, our dreams, and our careers. Then, perhaps influenced by the wine, my husband asked if Amelia had ever had any wild experiences. She looked surprised and asked for clarification. With a cheeky smile, he got straight to the point. "You know, those crazy things we do when we're figuring out who we really are." Amelia responded candidly, "So, you want to know if I've ever been with more than one man at a time? If I've ever been involved with couples or had those out-of-the-ordinary experiences?" Her honesty made the conversation more intriguing. I admired her boldness as she explained she had fantasized about such things but never had the chance to act on them. Her late husband had been more conservative, so she never felt comfortable sharing these desires with him. Amelia's honesty intensified the intimate atmosphere. I joined the conversation and asked if she would do something like that if the opportunity arose. She looked me in the eye and said, "Yes, absolutely. I'd do that and much more," with a relaxed smile. The mood shifted, full of anticipation. Amelia, with a curious look, asked, "So, is that why I'm here? To be with both of you?" Her question caught us off guard. Benjamin and I exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. The tension was palpable, but Amelia broke it with a revelation that left us stunned. "Benjamin," she began with a confident smile, "I noticed you watching me through the window. And to be honest, I liked it. It made me feel beautiful to be observed." Her spontaneous honesty made the air buzz with excitement. Amelia continued, "I always hear you two from my bedroom during your most intimate moments. And I can't help but say that you make a beautiful couple." Her words left a mix of surprise and admiration on my husband's face. Before the silence stretched too long, she added, "If I've said something inappropriate, I'm sorry. But with you two, I feel like I can be myself. No filters." I decided to ease the tension. I looked at Amelia and told her that it wasn't just Benjamin who had been watching her. I had been too. I explained that we were both captivated by her presence, her spontaneous nature, and her natural beauty. With a playful smile, I said, "We'd like to make you a proposal, but without compromising our friendship." The air was thick with anticipation. Summoning my courage, I said, "Yes, we want you to stay with us. Both my husband and I are attracted to you." The sincerity of my words seemed to open a new door, and Amelia's reaction was immediate. She looked at me deeply, her eyes sparkling as she considered the proposal. Amelia smiled seductively and agreed, but made it clear that it couldn't go beyond one night to preserve our friendship. We agreed immediately, as that was exactly what we were looking for. My husband suggested we go to the bedroom to continue the conversation privately. We walked to the door, and before entering, I stopped in front of Amelia and gave her a soft kiss on the lips. She responded immediately, her eyes sparkling. Benjamin, with a satisfied smile, encouraged us to continue into the bedroom. Amidst laughter and anticipation, we held hands and entered, ready to explore this new dimension of our relationship. In the bedroom, we began kissing Amelia, who returned our affection passionately. Benjamin gently removed our shoes and massaged Amelia's feet while I helped her undress. She surrendered to our touch, eyes closed in relaxation and excitement. Our kisses were filled with desire, each touch sending shivers through us. Amelia laid me down on the bed, her hands sliding up my thighs. Benjamin kissed her bare back, his breath warming her skin. The sensations blended, our bodies synchronized in intense caresses. The moans grew louder as Benjamin moved with a strong rhythm, guiding each moment. Amelia pressed her body against mine, creating a current of pleasure that connected us deeply. Benjamin guided our bodies in perfect harmony, exploring every detail. Amelia's hands moved up my thighs, her breathing quickening. The sounds of pleasure filled the room, our moans blending with the rhythm of our bodies. We reached the peak together, our breaths ragged, the intense pleasure overwhelming us. The silence that followed was warm and satisfying. That night, we surrendered to each other, exploring a new territory of pleasure and intimacy. It was one of the best experiences I've had with my husband. We laughed, whispered, and touched in a sensual dance that connected us uniquely. After hours of intensity and fun, we fell asleep together, wrapped in a warm embrace. We woke up with satisfied smiles, as if we had been lovers all our lives. We took a shower together, laughing and playing as the warm water cascaded over us. The flame of passion was still burning, and we wanted to make the most of Amelia's presence. However, reality set in when she reminded us that her daughter would be arriving soon from her uncle's house. It was time to say goodbye. We kissed, promising new adventures. Before she left, I invited her to come back later that day, mentioning how much we enjoyed our connection. Amelia smiled playfully, saying, "I'm not that young anymore for this," but the sparkle in her eyes showed she was excited. She said she'd think about it, hinting at the possibility of more moments together. After that unforgettable experience, we decided to repeat the adventure several times, loving this new phase full of discoveries and shared pleasures. With each encounter, our connection grew deeper and more exciting. As we near the end of 2024, we're planning to spend New Year's in Miami, at a beach house owned by my husband's family. We're excited about the sun, sea, and new experiences awaiting us. If you're curious, I'll come back and share how the trip went. Comment below if you're excited to hear the updates. Until next time with more stories and adventures. Did you enjoy this story? I loved having you stay until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more to come. Click on the videos on the screen and keep watching.